The millionaire farmer hides a fortune while her children abandon her in the nursing home. From the very first moment, an eerie silence hung over the old farmhouse, broken only by the faint rustle of dry leaves stirred by an unseen breeze. Shadows flickered across the cracked white paint, dancing on weathered planks like secrets desperate to be uncovered. The windows stared blank and empty, like missing eyes watching a fading past. Every creak of the floorboards echoed down the empty halls, each one a whispered warning that something buried was waiting in the dust. Outside, the wind howled low through skeletal cornstalks, their brittle bodies clawing the chill sky. Dusk settled fast over Maple Grove, a town so small you could miss it if you blinked. But this wasn't just any town. This was Clara Bennett's home, once the queen of acres stretching far beyond the horizon. Now, her once mighty farm sat broken, the old barn collapsing, the fields left to rot. Clara, once a titan of Midwest farming, a shrewd, tireless millionaire who built her fortune from stubborn soil and steel nerves, now found herself trapped, not in the wild fields or the creaking farmhouse, but within sterile walls of a modest nursing home, where the sharp scent of antiseptic and soft murmurs replaced rustling corn and cawing crows. Her children, once close, loyal companions, had slowly drifted away, their visits fewer, until silent neglect became her new companion. The chill in the autumn air outside matched the cold she felt inside, a frost spreading through bone and heart alike. But then, late one frigid evening, as Clara lay wrapped in a scratchy blanket beneath the dull glow of a flickering hallway light, she overheard something. A nurse, speaking too loudly in the hall, joked about a hidden vault buried deep on the old farm property, a vault said to hold the true extent of Clara's fortune. A secret her children had ignored in their bitter neglect. The words struck her like a hammer, awakening a fierce spark she thought had long died out. What if the fortune wasn't just gone with time? What if the legend buried in the fields was true? Her frail fingers trembled as she rummaged through an old diary tucked away in a drawer of the small bedside table. There, yellowed and cracked, was a faded map, cryptic marks scrawled in her own handwriting decades ago. Places no one had noticed, paths no one had dared to tread. Clara's chest tightened, a lump rising in her throat. Could she trust anyone? Would her children care about the truth now? Or had they already lost her forever? Was the vault a key to saving her legacy, or another trap, one that might shatter what little family remained? The nursing home halls seemed colder, darker tonight. Yet inside Clara's weathered soul, a fire blazed fierce and raw. This was more than a secret. It was her last stand, her one chance to reclaim what was hers, and maybe finally bring her children back from the silence. Her hands clutched the fragile map, trembling not from weakness, but from a rising storm of determination. What lay beneath the soil of her fading farm? What dangers lurked in secrets long buried? And who in this cracked world could she turn to now? The questions swirled like the autumn wind, waiting to be answered. Hey, before we continue with this incredible story, I need to give you an important alert. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without warning. Just take a quick look at the red button down below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content coming your way. And since you're here, drop that powerful like that helps me so much. With the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love meeting every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. If you like stories about farmers, about everyday life on the farm, and want to know what really happens in the daily lives of the biggest farmers in the world, the hidden stories of the richest owners, and the secrets of the farm girls that the media doesn't reveal, check out our virtual book with the most famous and secret stories from the farm. Click on the first link in the video comments and get yours now. Clara's fingers trembled over the brittle paper, tracing the strange marks that led deeper into the farm's forgotten corners. Her breath came in shallow gasps, the cold room fading as the map pulled her back to a place where dirt still held stories. Outside, the wind rasped against the window pane like a warning, but she didn't care. Tonight, the silence was hers. Tonight, she was moving. A nurse's footsteps echoed faintly down the hall, but Clara ignored them. She folded the map carefully and slipped it into the pocket of the thin, worn jacket she'd nursed through nights. Too long to count. Her heart hammered at the thought of what waited beneath that land, what she'd buried there when the world was softer and her hands steadier. The old farm was her kingdom, fallen and cracked, but still hers. She had to believe the vault was real. As the nursing home clock chimed the hour, Clara forced herself up, legs shaking like they'd forgotten how to stand. The night air was sharp. Bursting through the narrow opening she'd managed to nudge just enough to slip outside. The cold bit at her thin skin, but the fire inside blazed fiercer, every step crunching on. The brittle leaves hurt, but every step was a beat of hope, beating back years of neglect. The farm loomed through the dark, shattered windows like blind eyes, the barn sagging like a tired beast. Every inch vibrated with memories. She reached the rusted gate and pushed it open. The squeal tore the night apart. She froze. Nothing stirred. Her fingers worked the map by flashlight. 2 old elm trees, a bent fence post, the place she hadn't been allowed near since she fell ill. She started digging. Hand by trembling hand, the soil gave way. The shovelful after shovelful was a small rebellion against time, decay, and her fading strength. Suddenly, the metal edge of a box scraped stone and roots. A vault. Her heart surged. She dropped to her knees, hands brushing dirt from a heavy iron door, weathered by decades, but still strong. Lips trembling, she reached for the latch. Then a sharp crack split the air, like a gunshot. Clara's head shot up. Footsteps thundered from the dark farmhouse. "Clara, what the hell are you doing out here?" The sharp voice shattered her world. Her eldest son, David, emerged from shadows, face twisted, not with concern, but with rage. Behind him, her daughter Anna appeared, eyes wide, clutching a phone. Like a lifeline. "What are you digging for? You should be in bed," David barked, stepping closer. His breath smelled of whiskey. His hands shook. not with cold, but anger. "I found the map," Clara whispered, clutching the latch. "They don't want you messing with that," Anna said, voice shaking. "We've talked about this." Clara's chest heaved. "Why don't you want me to find it? Why did no one ever come back here? Why have you left me to rot in that place?" The words spilled out. Raw and cold, David's face paled, his jaw clenched. He glanced nervously over his shoulder. Then he spat out, the truth like a venomed knife. "Because you don't own a fortune, Mom. Not anymore. The farm's gone. The debts swallowed everything." The room spun. Clara's eyes burned with confusion and pain. Anna broke down, sobbing. "There's something else. Something you never told us. About Dad." "What?" The cold seeped into Clara's bones, an icy claw gripping her heart. David took a hesitant step forward. "He didn't die on the road like you said. He disappeared. Left us. Left the farm." The bank took what was left. The world cracked. Her mind reeled. The father she mourned, the husband she loved, vanished. Not dead, but gone. "And the vault," Clara whispered, trembling. "Maybe it's empty. Maybe it holds nothing but secrets better left buried." The night felt heavier now. The wind sucked all hope away, weaving silence thick with betrayal. Her children stood over her, their faces unreadable. Beneath the soil, the vault waited. Dark, silent, full of promises and lies. The cold seeped into Clara's bones as she clutched the heavy latch, her breath caught in a frozen gasp. David and Anna stood stiff, shadows thrown ugly across their faces by the week. Beam of her flashlight. The silence stretched, thick and heavy, swallowing up the night. Then, suddenly, a sharp crack tore it apart. The ground beneath Clara trembled. Her fingers slipped. The iron door slammed shut with a deafening clang that echoed across the barren farm. The sound ripped through the night air like a scream. David cursed, stumbling backward. Anna gasped, her phone dropping to the dirt with a hollow thud. Clara's heartbeat thundered. What the hell was that? Before anyone could react, the earth before the vault cracked open, splitting wide like a mouth ready to swallow everything whole. Roots groaned, bones shifting beneath the soil. A sickening, almost alive sound dragged itself from the dark. A guttural moan. David's eyes widened. Anna stepped back, clutching her chest, gasping for air. "Mom, what is that?" Anna whispered, voice trembling. Clara froze, her legs weak, the map slipping from her shaking hand and scattering onto the cold dirt. From the depths of the chasm, a shadow rose slowly, a figure, pale and ragged, dripping with dirt and something darker. It staggered forward, crawling out of the earth itself. Clara's breath caught. The horror before her wasn't just a secret buried in the dirt. It was flesh and blood. And it was her husband. But no, not the man she had mourned for all these years. His eyes were sunken, wild with something broken, a chill burning deep inside. His mouth opened in a silent scream as he collapsed to his knees, clutching a withered hand to his chest. David took a step back, face pale as ashes. "Dad?" Clara whispered, disbelief slicing through her like a knife. The man's head jerked sharply, and he stared straight into Clara's eyes, not with recognition, but with rage, pain, and something even darker, resentment that pierced the night. "You left us to die," he croaked, voice raw like gravel. "You buried the truth. And me." David's hands trembled, no longer in anger, but fear. Anna crouched beside Clara, tears streaming down her face. Clara's chest felt like it had shattered. The man they'd believed dead, gone, was alive, but broken beyond anything she could imagine. The vault wasn't just a box of money or secrets anymore. It was the grave of a nightmare she had tried to bury with lies. "Mom," David stammered, voice cracking. "What did you do? What's really down there?" Clara's eyes flicked to the scattered map, then back at the shadowed figure moaning in pain. Her limbs trembled, cold sweat slicking her skin. The secrets she'd held, so tight, were breathing, glowing with vengeance. And now everything was unraveling. The wind whipped louder, tearing through the farm like a roar ready to tear the past apart. That man, and what he represented, wasn't a ghost. He was the key to a truth darker than debt or lies. A truth that could change everything they thought they knew about family, love, and betrayal. Clara's hands clenched into fists, knuckles white. This night had become a reckoning. But what had she really buried beneath the soil? And how deep did the rot go before it had swallowed them whole? The man's ragged eyes locked onto Clara's, burning with something fierce and raw. The air crackled. The night held its breath. But before Clara could speak, before David or Anna could answer, a sudden, piercing scream shattered the silence. It came from the barn. Something inside clawed at the wood and metal, banging hard, like a wild animal trapped, desperate to escape. The sound tore through the night, ragged and broken, a scream filled with pain and madness. David cursed under his breath and stepped toward the old building, his face twisting with fear. Anna grabbed Clara's arm. "Stay here," she whispered, panic thick in her voice. "No," Clara snapped. "I need to see." Together they moved, slow steps crunching on dry leaves, toward the collapsing barn. The moon was a weak ghost in the sky, barely lighting the broken beams and shattered glass. The scream came again, wild and raw. David reached the door first. He pushed it open with a grunt. Inside, the darkness sucked them in like a black hole. Then, light, a flicker far in the shadows, revealed a figure huddled in the corner, rocking back and forth. The shape was thin, almost like a ghost. Wrapped in tatters, stained dark, Clara's heart thumped painfully. "Mom?" David breathed. The figure looked up, and Clara gasped. It wasn't. A stranger. Not a wild animal or lost soul. It was her. Not the fragile woman trapped in the nursing home. Not the tired mother they thought they knew, but a younger, fiercer Clara. Eyes sharp, burning with a cold fire that did not belong to the woman supposed to be trapped in a skin worn thin by time. This Clara looked free, wild, dangerous. She smiled, a cruel, twisted smile. "You never left me," the younger Clara whispered, voice like cracked ice. "You buried me here, locked me away, but I was always watching, waiting." David stepped back, disbelief cracking his features. Anna shook her head, tears flooding her eyes. The cold hit Clara like a punch. Her legs trembled. "What is this? Some trick?" "No trick," the younger Clara said, standing slowly, shadows wrapping her like a cloak. "You, me, we're the same. But you made a choice. You hid me here, locked away the truth. This." She gestured to the vault, the farm, the nightmare risen from the soil. "This is not about debt, not about Dad, not about money." Her eyes snapped to the vault below. "It's about me, who I really am. The secret I buried deep beneath the lies." Clara's chest tightened. You're not real. You can't be. You don't want to believe it." The young Clara smiled, cruel and sharp. "But I'm the part of you you shoved aside. The rage, the greed, the darkness. The part that made the choices no one could face. The part you whispered about in the diary. The one you tried to erase." Anna's sobs grew louder. David swallowed hard, shaking his head as if trying to wake up from a nightmare. The barn seemed to close in, shadows thickening, the weight of everything crashing down. "Look deeper," the younger Clara hissed. "The vault isn't just treasure. It's a prison, not for money, but for me." She reached into her torn jacket and pulled out a small, grimy key. "This key freed me once. I locked away my own soul to protect what was left." Clara's breath hitched. The younger Clara dropped the key at her feet. Now the real story begins. Silence fell like a guillotine. Clara's hands shook as the weight of that truth hit like a brick. Who had they really been all these years? And which one was the real prisoner? The farm held more than secrets. It held a war inside one woman's fractured heart. And the vault was only the beginning. Clara's hands froze over. The key lying on the dusty floorboards. Her breath hitched, cold air catching in her throat. The barn seemed to shrink around them, shadows pressing in like a dark tide. Young Clara's cruel smile flickered in the weak moonlight, sharp as broken glass. David's voice shook. "Mom, what does that mean? What did you lock away?" Anna swallowed hard, eyes wide as if she might faint. "This isn't real. This can't be real." Clara wanted to scream, to tear this younger version of herself away like a bad dream. But the truth pressed heavy. This wasn't just a trick. It was a fracture, a crack in everything she thought she knew. Then the floor beneath them groaned. A deep rumble shook the barn. Dust fell like dry snow from the beams. The old wood creaked, threatening to give way. Suddenly, Clara's grip slipped. The key clattered loudly against the floor. All three turned toward the sound, a whisper from the darkness. A soft voice called out, trembling but familiar. "Mom?" They froze. From the shadows stepped a woman, trembling, clutching a folded photo to her chest. She looked like a ghost, young but worn beyond her years, her eyes dark pools of grief and fury. "Mom, it's me," she whispered. "No," Clara gasped, heart twisting painfully. "Anna? It can't be." But it wasn't Anna. It was another daughter, another secret. Clara's knees almost buckled. "How?" The woman's lips quivered. "I was gone before you ever left, before Dad disappeared, before the farm died." David's face drained of color. Anna's sobs were choked, panic rising. Clara's chest tightened. She barely recognized the voice trembling in the moonlight. I was hidden away, locked in the shadows where no one looked. You didn't just bury the past, you buried me. She unfolded the photo, a torn image of a baby girl with dark eyes like hers. Your secret, the woman said bitterly. You're real. Child, you told no one because she wasn't supposed to exist. Silence slammed into the family like a freight train. David's fists clenched. Why? Why hide her? The woman's eyes blazed. Because she wasn't just unwanted. She was dangerous. You were scared. You lied. You locked her here, with Dad, in the vault's shadow, where no one could hear her scream. Clara's hands trembled violently. Her chest burned like fire and ice, ripping through years of denial. The younger Clara sneered. You don't want to believe the truth, but here it is. Your perfect family is a lie. The night twisted, the air thick with fear and rage. Outside, the wind howled louder, sucking away hope. In the barn's cold heart, buried lies clawed their way out. And the vault was no longer just metal and dirt. It was a tomb, a prison, holding the darkest secret of all. Who was the real prisoner? The lost daughter? The broken husband? Or the mother who buried them all? Clara's breath caught as the woman stepped forward, eyes blazing with a fury that reshaped everything. What else did you hide, Mom? And how much more are you willing to bury before it's too late? The woman's eyes burned into Clara's, demanding answers she didn't have, dragging her deeper into a pit she thought she'd escaped. The barn felt smaller now, choking on secrets that wouldn't stay buried. David's jaw tightened. Anna's sobs hitched, shaking the air like a breaking dam. Clara's heart pounded, an ugly drum crashing against her ribs. What else did you hide, Mom? And how much more are you willing to bury before it's too late? The question hung heavy. Clara opened her mouth, but the words froze. Before she could answer, a sudden thundering rattle shuddered through the barn, the old wood groaning like it was about to give way. Everyone froze. Then a scream. Not human, not her daughter. Or husband. Something wild, desperate. A low growl rolled out from the shadows behind the younger Clara. David took a step back, eyes wide and wild. What the hell is that? The shadows shifted. Something massive lurched forward, a dark shape moving with a sick, lurching crawl, fur matted and soaked with grime, eyes gleaming red with raw hunger. Clara gasped, stumbling backward, heart thumping so loud she thought it might burst. The hair on her arms stood straight. The figure lunged out of the darkness, but then it stopped, and with a horrifying sound between a whimper and a growl, it dropped its head, revealing a face. Clara's breath caught. It was her father, but not the father they thought. His skin was raw and scarred, eyes wild but filled with pain, broken but alive. The man held inside that monstrous shell was the man who vanished, the man no one spoke about. "Dad?" Anna whispered. Her voice cracked like a twig. The creature, this broken man, tilted his head slowly and whispered, "You don't know the whole truth." Clara's knees shook. What is this? David's eyes darted between the creature and the younger Clara, fear crawling over his face. Then, with a terrible groan, the beast thing's face flickered and shifted, skin pulling like rubber, eyes clearing. Suddenly, the barn was flooded with chilling light from the cracked roof. The figure dropped the animal mask like it was nothing. It was neither their father nor the monster. It was Clara, the older Clara, the sick woman, the nursing home prisoner, staring back at them, only not sick, not frail. Her eyes burned like shards of ice. "I never left," she said, voice cold as the wind outside. "You never left me either." Silence shattered beneath that. David swallowed hard. Anna gasped. The younger Clara's cruel smile flickered and died. Clara's mind spun, heartbreaking in new ways. The truth wasn't just about the vault, the past, the family they thought they knew. It was all a lie. Two Claras standing in the barn. One claimed to be the victim, the other the prisoner, a split soul torn by rage and regret. But the sick woman, the one they pitied, held no more mercy. "I was the real Clara," she said, stepping forward, voice low and fierce. "The one you locked away in your memories, the one you forgot and feared. The vault was never a prison for money. It was a cage made by myself, to lock away what I became." David stared, trembling. What does that mean?" She smiled, but it was sharp, cruel. "It means none of you really knew me, or yourselves." The barn door burst open behind them, metal banging against wood. A cold wind ripped in, scattering leaves and whispers of long-buried sins. And in that bitter air, the broken man, the husband they mourned, was gone. Vanished like a ghost, leaving only one question twisting through the night. Who was the real prisoner in this family? And who was the real monster? The night swallowed their cries. And the vault beneath the soil? It was still waiting. For what? No one dared to say. The barn door slammed, shut behind them, the echoes swallowing the cold night air. Clara stood rigid, her breath shallow, heart racing like a frantic drum. David and Anna pressed close, their faces pale, eyes darting like frightened animals. For a moment, silence ruled, heavy, suffocating. Then, from beneath the floorboards, a low rumble began. Barely a whisper, but growing, shaking their feet. The old barn seemed alive, groaning and shifting like it wanted to swallow them whole. "Get out!" the younger Clara hissed, her voice sharp as broken glass. "Get out now!" But no one moved. Suddenly, the ground cracked open, a jagged wound tearing through the dirt, revealing a spiraling wooden staircase lit by flickering candlelight. Cold air spilled upward, smelling of earth and something older, something rotten. Clara's fingers clenched into fists. What is that?" David swallowed hard. "I don't know, but I think that's where everything's been hidden." One by one, they descended into the darkness. The light flickered against rough stone walls, damp with sweat and age. At the bottom, the stairwell opened into a narrow chamber, packed tight with crates, old furniture, and dust-covered relics. Then, a sound, a faint rustle. Clara's heart skipped. A figure stirred in the corner. A woman wrapped in... She looked eerily familiar. "Mom?" Anna whispered, voice trembling. Clara stepped forward, mouth dry. The woman's eyes shot up, shining with tears and fury. "No," she said, voice ragged. "Not your mother, but close." David's jaw tightened. "Who are you?" She struggled against the chains, voice hoarse with years of pain stretching tight like a wire. "I'm what you locked away. The truth you buried deeper than the soil." Clara's chest ached, breath catching like ice in a dark wind. And then, a sudden scream, sharp, shattering. The chamber walls began to pulse, breathing with a rhythm that wasn't natural. The woman twisted her head, eyes locking onto Clara with a savage accusation. "You think you're free here, but you are the prisoner. The vault isn't money or old lies, it's me, your other daughter." Silence slammed the room. David's face drained color. Anna wept openly now, shaking, desperate. Clara's knees buckled. "No," she whispered. "That's impossible. I only had 2 children, Anna and David." The chained woman's laugh was low, bitter as ash. "You lied. All these years. That night, you never told anyone how you left me behind." The ground shook violently. Rocks tumbled from above. Suddenly, the chamber cracked open, flooded with blinding light. And there, carved into the stone wall, a cruel etched family tree. But it wasn't what Clara expected. Names, dates, crosses. But in the center, 2 Claras, identical, staring back like ghosts trapped in stone. One bore the date of birth Clara remembered, the other born decades later. A second life, hidden in shadow. Beneath it, a chilling inscription. The forgotten seed, the cursed legacy, the price of survival. And then a whisper, soft but clear. Clara, the wife, the mother, was never alone in her mind. There were 2. David staggered back, voice breaking. "You mean—" "Yes," the chained woman said, voice thick with pain. "I am her, the part she rejected, the shadow she killed in. Herself. The one who hid the monster beneath the farm." Clara's head spun. Her hands trembled like dead leaves in a storm. 2 Claras, living one life? One soul splitting 2? The barn seemed to close in, air suffocating. "We buried her deep because she was dangerous. Not just to us, to the whole family." A cold tear fell down Clara's cheek. And then the horror sank in. The shadow they'd been chasing wasn't outside. It was inside. 2 halves of a fractured woman. One trapped behind iron and earth. The other walking free among the living. David's voice dropped to a whisper. "Mom, which one of you did we love? Which one did we lose?" The answer hovered, unspoken, like a blade poised to fall. Behind the chamber's stone door, the vault waited. Not a treasure, not a prison, a soul torn in 2. And one was still locked inside, waiting. The stone chamber swallowed the light. Clara's hands shook so hard her nails dug into her palms. The air was thick, heavy, like breathing through mud. David stumbled back against the wall, eyes wild. Anna's sobs cracked the silence like glass breaking. The chained woman stared at Clara, fierce as a hurricane. "You locked me away." Her voice was ragged, raw bone scraping wood. And you thought that was the end. Clara's breath hitched, her chest tight, heart pounding like a drum in her ears. The truth pressed on her like a weight too big to carry, breaking her in parts she didn't know existed. Then the ground rumbled again. The walls groaned like the old house itself was cracking open. Dust fell in choking clouds. Suddenly, a sharp snap. From above, a figure dropped down, swift and dark, landing between them with a heavy thud. It was the man from the farmyard, but not the broken ghost bear he had been before. This version of him stood, tall, face sharp, eyes burning with a terrifying clarity. The scars on his skin looked fresh, not wound but intentional, like tattoos of pain and truth. Clara froze. A lump lodged deep in her throat. Her hands trembled uncontrollably. He looked at her, really looked, like he carried the weight of years carved into his bones. "I'm not who you think," he said, voice low and thick with something like sorrow and fury. "I never left, because I never was." David took a faltering step forward, confusion twisting his face. Anna wiped her face, eyes darting between them like a trapped animal. Clara swallowed hard, whispering, "What do you mean?" He moved closer, the light flickering over his angular features. "I am what's left when you bury a soul whole. I'm not your husband. I am you." Silence slammed down. Clara's breath froze. Her heart hitched. The walls felt like they'd closed in tight, like the earth itself refused to hold the lie any longer. "I am the man who vanished," he said, voice cracked and cold. "The shadow you pushed underground, the part of you you killed so your children wouldn't see the darkness inside. He was never real." David's eyes flew wide with terror. Anna gasped, clutching her mouth. Clara shook her head, reeling. "No, you're lying." "I'm not." His eyes burned deep into hers. "This farm, the vault, the daughters, this fractured family, it's all inside your mind. Your fractured soul made us all. You built this prison to keep the truth safe." The chained woman's chains rattled as she looked again at Clara, a hopeless, broken smile twisting her lips. "We're fragments," she breathed, "pieces of a mind shattered by grief and fear. There was no hidden vault, no money, no ghost. Only pain, fractured and scattered." Clara's knees buckled. The air spun, a spinning wheel of nightmare and truth and lies, all tangled tight. "No," she whispered. "The farm, the children, David, Anna." The man stepped closer, cold and final. "They're all you." The walls shook again, and as the light flickered and died, Clara crumbled, swallowed whole by the darkest secret of all. Who was real? Who was the prisoner? And was anyone left outside the mind to hear? The vault waited below, silent and empty, but the real nightmare was only just beginning. The darkness swallowed Clara whole. Her knees finally gave way, slamming into the cold stone floor. The air was thick, heavy, like it was pressing down on her chest, squeezing. Her hands trembled, nails digging shallow scratches into her palms, pain that felt sharp enough to cut through the fog in her mind. David and Anna stood frozen, eyes wide, shaking like leaves in a cruel wind. The chained woman's ragged breath filled the silence. The man, the fragment of Clara's fractured soul, leaned close, eyes burning with a cold fire that left no room to breathe. And then, before the world could spin further out of control, an awful crack split the chamber. The stone wall behind them, covered in that twisted family tree, shook violently. Dust rained down like cold tears, choking the dark air. A deep rumble echoed through the space. The floor shivered beneath their feet, and suddenly the wall shattered. Pieces of stone exploded outward, scattering like shards of a broken memory. From the jagged gap stepped a figure, tall and strange, wrapped in a threadbare gray coat, face hidden beneath a hood pulled low. The silence shattered, the flickering candlelight caught in deep, unreadable eyes. Who are you?" Clara croaked, voice cracking, heart pounding so hard she thought it might burst. The figure moved forward, slow and sure, the sound of boots scraping the floor. And then the hood dropped. The face was hers, but not like before. Not the tired, frail woman, crushed by years. This was someone fierce and clear, eyes sharp as winter frost. "Clara?" Anna whispered. The new Clara smiled coldly. "No," she said, voice low and echoing. "I'm what you never wanted to see." She reached into her coat and pulled out a thin, delicate envelope yellowed with age. "This changes everything." Clara's breath hitched. David stepped forward, trembling. "What is it?" The woman's gaze didn't waver. "You've been digging around in broken pieces of a lie," she said, pulling out a crumpled photo. "But this shows what was buried before any of those shadows fell." The photo showed a young woman, a stranger to David and Anna, but with Clara's eyes. And beside her, another child, a baby, smiling even through years of pain. "Your sister," the woman said quietly. Clara's chest seized. "No," she whispered. I don't understand." "You never met her because she was lost. Before the farm, before the vault, before you split yourself in two." The strange Clara folded the photo slowly, eyes cold, but not unkind. She was taken away, hidden, alive, but erased. A silence fell heavier than before. Another secret. A warning. Her lips curved in a sad smile. "The vault you think holds your prison, your haunted family, isn't beneath the farm at all. It was inside your mind." Suddenly, light exploded from the cracked chamber ceiling, blinding, hot, and sharp as a razor. The walls trembled violently. The chained woman screamed, a raw, shattered sound that broke the brittle silence. Then the world shifted, spinning, blurring, falling apart. Clara gasped, eyes wide with terror and wonder. The barn, the farm, the children, all dissolved like smoke. And in that moment, the truth hit like a thunderbolt. They were never living outside this place. This wasn't a real barn, or a farm, or a forgotten family. This was a prison, made by Clara herself, created by a mind shattered beyond repair. But the new Clara stepped forward, voice sharp and certain. "You aren't trapped by what happened out there. You're trapped in here, in the lies, the fragments, the stories you told yourself. Her hand brushed the broken stone floor. And I'm the part of you that refuses to forget. Clara's breaths came hard and fast. The walls groaned again. Which one will survive? The question echoed like a knife. And with a cold smile, the new Clara knelt down, eyes burning. Welcome to the real vault. The chamber darkened. And outside, in the empty night, the wind whispered, what if none of it was real? The chamber trembled beneath their feet. Clara's breath came in ragged gasps, her chest tight, every heartbeat pounding like a hammer against thin glass. The walls closed in, shadows twisting like dark fingers reaching for her soul. David and Anna clung to her sides, their faces pale, eyes wide with confusion and fear. A strange woman, the other Clara, stepped forward, a ghost in worn clothes, her glare sharp and accusing. You built this prison yourself, locked away the pieces you couldn't face. Clara's hands shook violently as a sudden glare of light shattered the gloom. The chamber cracked open, and through the dust and rubble, a narrow beam found the iron door of the vault. Slowly she moved forward. Her fingers brushed the cold metal, the latch groaning softly beneath her touch. The key lay there, forgotten in the dust, a symbol, a warning, a chance. David's voice broke the silence. Mom, maybe it's time. A lump caught in her throat. The storm inside her swelled, rage, guilt, sorrow, all tangled tight. Taking a deep, shuddering breath, she slid the key home. The vault creaked open, spilling shadows and dust into the dull light. Inside, no gold, no treasure, nothing but a cracked mirror, cold and dusty. Clara's reflection stared back, faded, fragmented. Tears stung her eyes as she whispered, "This was the prison all along." The other Clara stepped closer, softer now. Release the pieces you locked away. Face what you hid. Only then can the truth heal. Anna reached out, grasping Clara's hand, eyes shimmering with hope. David nodded, voice steady despite the chaos. We're still here. We want to help. The fractured family gathered around, hands trembling but together. The vault wasn't about fortune or secrets buried in dirt. It was about loss, shame, and the fierce need to forgive. Clara's breath hitched, tears falling freely now. "I'm sorry," she said, voice breaking, "for everything." Outside, the wind softened, the rustle of leaves almost gentle. The night still held its mysteries, but inside, a faint warmth blossomed. A crack in the ice. No one knew what lay beyond the shadows in their hearts. But for the first time in years, Clara felt the first glimmer. That hope could grow from broken ground. And as the vault door closed behind them, silent but not sealed, a whisper lingered in the cold air. The real treasure isn't hidden in soil or stone. It's the courage to face yourself. You need to subscribe now to this channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will knock your socks off. This is the moment to show your support by smashing that like button right now. Feed the algorithm and keep the story alive. Flood the comments section with your wildest reactions, your heartbreak, your theories about what just happened. And don't wait another second to share this video with at least 5 friends who absolutely need to know this shocking conclusion. Only true fans understand how much this helps keep the channel going. So do it. Do it now. If you like stories about farmers, about everyday life on the farm, and want to know what really happens in the daily lives of the biggest farmers in the world, the hidden stories of the richest owners, and the secrets of the farm girls that the media doesn't reveal, check out our virtual book with the most famous and secret stories from the farm. Click on the first link in the video comments and get yours now. You need to watch this now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait another second to share.